We're going to see how Pyotr Kotchetkov plays with pressure, which is an interesting thing for a goalie, because a goalie is one of the most pressure-packed positions in all of sports, right? NHL goalie is you're on an island, but also you're dependent on your team playing well in front of you, and goals scored, kind of whether they're your fault or not, are attributed to you. It is a very, very, very pressure-packed position, and he's back between the pipes tonight as expected, and the pressure is ramped up even further. Yaniv Peretz is the backup. That's an undrafted rookie out of Quinnipiac. Pyotr Kotchetkov has been playing well as of late, but he absolutely needs to play well now, and that is different. Right? There is, every player handles pressure differently, and there is always more, right? There is always something else that could be ratcheted up. There is always something else that could be pushed to the throttle. Antti Raanta had to get a break, and he's in the AHL with Chicago, hopefully getting something fixed up because he seems like a great guy. Gave up 3 goals today on 21 shots. If you listen to Walt Ruff, the second one he probably wants back, but it may have been a step in the right direction. Walt Ruff, team reporter. That's not here nor there when it comes to Kotchetkov, right? Because the fact of the matter is Raanta was not playing well enough to remain on an NHL roster, and you know that by the fact that he was put on waivers and nobody in the NHL claimed him. And he's a name, right? People know Raanta. So he had to go through what he's going through, right? The team had to move on. They had to give him a chance to go reset. Enter Kotchetkov, or I should say remaining Kotchetkov. If he doesn't play well, there's nowhere else to go. Even if you think Peretz can come in on the back half of back-to-backs, which, at least until Freddie Anderson comes back in a month or more, kind of as expected, Peretz is going to have to play the back half of back-to-backs. I don't think you can just send Kotchetkov out there every game for a month. That just doesn't seem fair.
Also puts him at risk for an injury.
Exactly, which you definitely can't afford. But beyond having Peretz out there for the back half of back-to-backs, I don't think you can really depend on him. Talk about pressure and head spinning, the undrafted rookie right into that just doesn't work. So if Kotchetkov has anything happen, you brought up injury, you hope it doesn't happen. A drop in his play, all that's left for the team to do is hope he gets better. Imagine it like a pitcher, because there are a lot of similarities between goalies and pitchers, right?
The game runs through them.
It runs through them, and there's usually somebody like a bullpen you can turn to, right? Yep. Like if you're not playing well, you go to the second goalie for a day for you get a rest or whatever it is. Imagine if a Major League Baseball team had just played a 30-inning game the night before and burnt through absolutely everybody in their bullpen, and you needed your starter to give you 9 innings. You needed a complete game. And it's the 4th inning, and he's given up 7 runs, and he's got 2 guys on base, and the last 2 pitches he's thrown were hard hits. And he's looking to the dugout going, help me, man. And his teammates are going, get him out of there. We need a chance to win. And the manager is standing on the top step of the dugout going, we don't have anybody else. It's you. Figure it out. Right? You send the pitching coach up there as many times as you can before the rules make it so you have to take him out, right? And all you're doing is saying, we have no one else. If Kotchetkov struggles, Rod's just going to be sitting there on the bench going, I don't know what you want me to put the kid in? What do you want me to do?
Play your way through it.
He's been in Raleigh for like a day. We have no one else. That's a lonely place for everyone because the skaters, right, the forwards, the defensemen are going to be going, come on, man. We're busting our tails out here. Come on. So the pressure is so high. And oh, by the way, you're playing Vegas. They're atop the Pacific Division. They're atop the Western Conference. They're atop the entire NHL.
And they're the defending champs.
And they're the defending champs. And they're second in goals scored. And they're eighth in goals allowed. And they're coming into your house. And your goalie can't struggle, or else I don't know what kind of chain of events that's going to set off.
The Hurricanes really have no choice but to empty out the tank tonight, in a sense.
Yes.
Or else they will get skated out of their own building.
This is one you completely sell out for. This is one, if you finish the game and you have an ounce of gas left in the tank, everybody should look at you like you have 12 heads and 7 arms. Like, what are you doing here?
I know we've been discussing that it's way too early to discuss playoff chances, playoff hopes, right? You got to focus on goaltending. You got to treat this tonight as if it's a Stanley Cup playoff audition game.
I do not think it's too early to talk about playoffs. I think that their priority needs to be making the playoffs right now. They're sitting in a wild card spot, but there are teams like New Jersey behind them who are not just going to roll over and go, all right, you're ahead of us December 19th. Now that lead's going to hold. They're going to make their run. You need to make your run. Right? And by the way, I believe and still believe that they should have come into this season with Stanley Cup or bust expectations. Right? Hoist the trophy or bust. Because they made it to the conference finals last year. They seemingly improved on paper. Svetch was getting healthy. It's a situation they didn't have at the end of last year. I don't believe those were outside the proper realm of expectation. But right now, changes. You need to focus on making the playoffs. Once that looks like more of a foregone conclusion, once that looks like more of a guarantee, you can turn around and pivot and change some other things. But for goodness sake, focus on making the playoffs. And if the way you do that, right, because I know every coach is going to say, we're not worried about the playoffs, it's mid-December. If the way you focus on making the playoffs is taking it one game at a time, one period at a time, one shift at a time, you do that. But just know, yes, every game should have playoff-like intensity, especially against Vegas, especially when you desperately need Kotchetkov to get off on the right foot of this kind of goalie on an island stretch he's going to be on. The next month could easily decide your playoff chances. And you're not going to have Freddie Anderson, at least not expected to. So the Canes, with a whole heaping majority of Kotchetkov and an occasional Peretz, is going to decide a fat part of your schedule right here. Some of the fans might get distracted by the holidays. You can't. And it starts tonight. Home, Vegas. Big game. And by the way, Andrei Svechnikov might be back from his upper body injury, skating without restrictions and all those sorts of things. What was it yesterday? He gave us the we'll see with a smirk. I mean, not a moment too soon. And even back, if he's back and healthy, he needs to play better than he was playing.
I was just about to say, I mean, hooray, Andrei Svechnikov could be touching the ice tonight. I know he's a fan favorite, but that really doesn't do much for me, honestly, as far as it being 31 games to the season and he only has one to contribute.
What it does is, I believe every time he's on the ice is another chance for him to figure out whatever the heck has been holding him back, and more confidence in the injuries. Right? It's obvious he's not as effective as he has been since coming back from the injury, meaning earlier in his career to now. But he's highly paid, he's highly talented, and you need production out of him. Right? So. Every time he's on the ice, I see it as another chance for Svetch to become Svetch again. But you're right. I mean, the production hasn't been there.
Also, the production has not been there for the power play as well.
Special teams. I mean, I can't tell you how many times you hear Rod after every win. The special teams played great after every loss. Need to do better on special teams.
We did everything we wanted to, other than we didn't score.
Other than didn't convert the chances we had with a man advantage. Tonight is good. I think tonight is kind of a pivot point of their season. I think it's that kind. And by the way, I'm not. Vegas is Vegas. I'm not saying if you don't beat the best team in the league, the sky is falling. But I think you have to show well, right? I think a couple of big saves by Kotchetkov go a long way. I think a couple of big plays by your top guys, the Ahos, the Jarvises, it goes a long way.
Couple big hits early.
Couple big hits early, right? Yeah, set the tone. Why not? nascent. If you're going to play great against some of these other teams, play great against Vegas. It's like, all right, now we're for real. I think more the storyline than the results, as long as it's close. I think tonight's a big game for the Canes.